Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah. Today's Friday. MashaAllah, the best day of the week. Uh, Coming back from the Salatul Jum'ah, I'm looking at the comments in the group, and there's some things that I need to kind of put out there. Um, First of all, I ask Allah by His greatest name to bless us to leave the lands of Dar Kufr and move or migrate to the lands of Islam, or into the lands that we can practice Islam freely and openly. I mean, um, you know, we have a tendency. There's a term that we use called analysis paralysis, and it is what it sounds like. We do so much analyzing that we can't come to a decision at all, and we get stuck in the research phase. Let's see if I can adjust this. So we get stuck in the research phase, and when we get stuck there, this it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like there's no more movement from there. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of repeated topics, and granted, we have a large group now, mashallah, tabarakallah, and it's some explosive growth going on, and so the topics would tend to be repeated. So I would say look in the group, look in the top bar there in the Telegram group, and you will see all the links and the videos and all of this kind of stuff. But we keep creeping and crawling back to some topics that we should have really understood and left alone by now, because they're not serving any benefit. They're not moving us toward our goal. They are not advancing us. They are not helping us to prepare. They're not physically, monetarily adding anything to us. The topics of, is this hijrah or is that hijrah? And is this like this or is this like that? And if you went to this land that's like that, then is it considered hijrah? Or, the hijrah is wajib, and no, it's not. No, there's a difference of opinion, but the so-and-so said, and the sheikh so-and-so said, and the standing committee did that. This is why in the first video, I use the term migrating. Migrating. You're a muhajir, you're migrating. Whether that is for a better life or whatever. At the moment, because, we have the hadith of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, where he said, إِنَّمَا أَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ. He said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّمَا أَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ. So you get rewarded for what you intended to do. Don't let all of the fine details stop you from moving and progressing forward and getting hung up on terminologies, getting hung up on, ahkam and rulings and this and that. Are you trying to find a place where you can make hijrah, where you can go to practice your religion freely and without harm to yourself, your families, your babies? If this is what you're doing, and you have to do that by getting a job, or you have to do that by getting your own business, or you have to do that by going to school, temporarily and so forth, then you do that. You have to understand that your situation is not set in stone when you leave. So, as an example, you might find a job that is not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have the salary range that you're looking for, but you could get by. And when I mean get by, I don't mean struggling. I don't mean, you left with 10, 15 dinar or real or 100 real at the end of the month. I mean, like, you're okay. You could get by. You can get by. It's not what you have in your country where you're from. That's a little bit less, but you have to understand, you're coming in at the beginner level, and that's something that a lot of people don't know. When you come into a place, when you apply for a job, these jobs, they deal with foreigners all the time. All the time. So they have developed systems in which they handle and deal with foreign labor. They have starting salaries that they will pay depending upon your nationality and somewhat depending on your qualification. Your qualifications will get you in the door and get you an interview, basically. Okay? And then depending on how much experience you actually have, in that relevant field, and then, what you negotiate, you might have a little bit of leeway to to go beyond what they set as a starting salary. It's a starting salary. It's not permanent. It's a starting salary. It's not permanent. So, for example, if you were to go to Bahrain, let's switch it up since we talk about Saudi a lot. If you were to go to Saudi Arabia and you find a job that says, "Hey, look, we can only pay you about 8,000 dinar a month." My recollection, see, 1,000 would be 1, 2, 3, 265, and 10 would be 2,650, and then you take that's somewhere around maybe about 2,300. I don't have a converter in front of me. It's about $2,300 a month. Okay, if you're doing American, okay, 8,000. If my math is right. But the point is, it's not a lot. $8,000 salary for a Westerner is not a lot of money. Okay. However, if the place that you're going to, if the job provides certain amenities, certain perks, then 8,000 is definitely a decent starting point. For example, if they say we'll give you 8,000 plus a housing allowance, all right, housing allowance or free housing, okay, and generally when they give you free housing, it's going to be with the utilities and furniture included. And that's down to the dishes and the plates and the silverware, okay, so that's going to be included. So it's going to be either a housing allowance or it's going to be free or paid for accommodations by the company. If it's a really good company, they're going to give you a transportation allowance so that you can take a taxi back and forth to work, or you can save that money and grip your vehicle, or they will provide you with transportation. You have to also keep in mind that this is 8,000 Riyal tax-free money. Tax-free. Okay, yes, if you have family and dependents, you'll have to pay the dependent fees, but that is a one-time situation for the year. So you pay your dependent fees for the year, and that's it. But your monthly salary isn't taxed. So look at it. You've got your 8,000 Riyal. You've got free accommodations or a housing allowance. You've got a transportation allowance, or they will come and actually pick you up and take you where you need to go. Pick you up from work in a van, okay, company van. You guys pile up in there. Most of the time, they'll keep you in the same building, so it's easier for the driver to come pick you up. So you got transportation to and from work, okay, and then they're going to provide you with, of course, your plane tickets and like that. So it's like you're really winning from the deal. Anything beyond that, you can't walk in. And I understand it, but you have to understand where you're going, what you're dealing with, and what your situation is as a newbie, as a fresh newbie coming in. You might have 15 years. I have 17 years experience in teaching. You might have 15 years, 20 years experience, and you may say, hey, 8,000 is really beneath me. MashaAllah, that's your right. But you have to understand how you're coming in as a foreigner. You've got 20 years, 15, 10 years, 12 years experience in another country or in another situation. That employer has not seen what you can do. They don't know the level of your expertise. They don't know your skill sets. They don't know the things that you're able to do. They don't know you at all. You can't come in trying to command, a $60,000 salary, a $75,000 salary. Well, if it's not the same as what I'm making now, I'm not going. MashaAllah. Okay, don't go. Don't go. But you're demonstrating that you don't understand the dynamics of what happens when you go over there. Again, these people have been dealing with foreign laborers. Wow. I think Saudi discovered oil in if my math is right, 1937. 1937. They started bringing in labor, outside labor, sometime after that, maybe a decade or so after that. And that has developed into an industry over time. So they've been dealing with this for a long time. You're going to have to go in and prove your worth. Now, when I tell you it's not set in stone, you may go in at 8,000 with the perks that I just mentioned. And they're not really perks, that's standard. A good company, that's standard. Housing, return plane tickets back to your country of origin. At the end of your salary, you get a gratuity, which is your end of contract bonus or your separation bonus, whatever you want to call it. And that is basically got half a month's salary that they give you on top of your last salary for every year that you work up to the first 5 years. And then after 5 years, it's 1 month, a 1 month full salary for every year you worked after 5 years. So longevity plays into it, experience plays into it. You might be well within your contract in your first year, and you realize now what you can do and what you can command and who's paying what, but you don't know that coming from the outside, you guys. Take it easy, okay? Now, so that's that situation. The other thing is there's so much talk about where to go and what to do and who to do it and how to do it and all of that. No one's talking about money. How much money have you been saving? What is your plan to save money? Have you gotten together with some good friends of yours and decided to make a collective? Because I'm telling you, you can do this by yourself, but it will take you a very long time because it is only you and you're the only source of revenue. I have seen this so many times with foreigners who come to America or Canada or like this. They band together. They don't really know each other personally. They're from the same country. And if you talk to many of them, they'll say, yeah, I'm from the north side. He's from the upper west side. He's by the peninsula. You know, he's from this tribe and that tribe and this area and that area. So they know each other as countrymen, but they don't know each other personally. But they still work together. They work together. What do? They all band together and say, hey, we're going to find us I know a group of brothers that had like a 3-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, excuse me. And they all got together. It was maybe about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of them. And they split the rent 6 ways, man. They split the rent 6 ways. They split the utilities 6 ways, okay? They all ate together, okay? So they split the food bill. Everything was divided. That takes a huge amount of stress off of the money that you need to save. Because some of us aren't saving anything because of the bills we had to pay and so forth. And some of us are not good with saving money. Some of us are not good with saving money. And so we need that support system around us that's going to help us. We get together. I haven't heard anybody talking about that. I haven't heard anybody talking about, I've heard people asking about jobs. I've heard people asking about, do they hire these kinds of guys, or is there work in this field or that field? But I haven't heard anybody say, hey, as an example, I'm in the London area. Okay, well, I'm in the Detroit area. Okay, and I'm looking for a really solid group of brothers, sisters, families, however the combination you wanted to put it together. I need a nice, solid group of people that we can start to combine our monies together. And one by one, we send somebody over. Or we put our monies together and we create a business. Who's got the skills? Who's got the skill set? Who knows their way around the paperwork? Who knows their way around LLCs? Who knows their way around remote work? Who knows their way around the business aspect and knows how to make money, and they're making money? Who has a business already that they need investors to expand that business? Because you go in as a company with an LLC, that is a really good path to citizenship because you're bringing a company with you and you're bringing a resource with you. And again, as I said before, you bring an asset. You're not a liability. You bring an asset. You're not a liability. I don't hear people talking about this. All I hear is, can we go here? Can we go there? This country's good. This country's not good. The people are like this. The people are like that. I've seen prejudice. I've seen racism. I've seen that. Come on, you guys. It's time to move on from these topics. It's really time to move on from these topics now. What have we been doing to put our monies together, to work together, to start amassing some wealth? Because here's the problem. By the time you finally decide where to go, if you're able to make a decision after you recover from your analysis paralysis, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years have gone by. I know people to this day. I have been out the country and back and forth and back and forth. And when I run into those same people, they say, yeah, I'm still looking for a place to go with me and my family. Actually, that was 8 years ago last time I saw you. That was 8 years ago the last time I saw you. That was 4 years ago. Okay, look. I can get you in. I can get you in. I can get you in. I can get you over. All right, I can get you over. Can I get you over so that you could at least go look around for yourself? All right, and things are much different on the ground. All right, you could all get together with that group that I just mentioned and say we're going to put together a plane ticket, or two, okay? Send two of you guys over from the group, and you guys' sole mission is to scout, just reconnaissance, okay? You give them a laundry list of things that we want you to look for, okay? What's the situation like on the ground? Okay, if you're a teacher, if you're an instructor, if you're this, okay, where are the schools and universities? What are the requirements? What's the names of schools? What's the contact information? I did this, so I know what I'm talking about. You go into the grocery stores. I was actually photographing food with the prices in the grocery store, and I looked extremely strange because no one's doing that. And so people started getting a little, a little anxious. I was like, what are you doing? They thought I was from the competition coming to take pictures of the prices in the store. I was like, no, I'm visiting here. I want to move here. They was like, okay, well, we don't want you to do that anymore. Could you just not do that? So they stopped me from doing it, but not before I had pretty much photographed the entire store. I was going up and down the aisles. I was looking for like different prices. I was looking for different brands. I was looking to see the brands that they have. Are those the same brands in the States? And if so, how much? I was looking for, their version of that brand. So, for example, if I'm looking for seasoned salt, or if I'm looking for, coffee, or if I'm looking for, rice-a-roni, whatever it was, right? What's your version? What's the local version of that? And then what's the version that you would bring in for America to attract the foreigners and like that? And so I would take pictures of all this stuff, and I'd do the converting later. After that, I went around to the hospitals and the clinics. Okay, where are they? Okay, if I need to get around, how much is the cab fare? Can I negotiate? Is it set in stone? In Kuwait, there's no negotiation. You pay the prices on the meter. In Bahrain, you can negotiate, but that's kind of being phased out as well. So certain places you can go, you can negotiate the fare. Some you can't. But like those are the details you're not going to get from just applying online or being in a group like this. Somebody has to go with boots on the ground and go look around. I spent 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks the first time when I went to Bahrain. I spent 2 weeks out there, and then I extended it by a day because I found a strip of schools in this particular city that I was going around. I was looking. I said, okay, there's a school here, there's a high school here, there's a school here, there's a school here, all within maybe 5 or 7 minutes walking distance from each other. That whole area was just full of schools. And then I found this little bitty starter school that had been around for about 3 or 4 years. Walked in there, gave him my resume. I want to talk to the mudira. I didn't apply online. I didn't make a phone call. I want to talk to the mudira. I want to talk to the principal. Is she here? She's not here right now. She might be here later on. Drop your CV. Cool. I dropped the CV, but I know how secretaries work. So I came back the next day. Hey, I dropped my CV off here. Is the mudira here? I came to see her today. Yeah. She's here. She's here. That, mashallah, that led to my job. I stayed in that place you wouldn't believe. I was in that school with the mudira. She was so taken with me. And I'm in Thobe. I didn't have to sacrifice or compromise or code switch or anything like that. What you see, that's what I'm bringing to the table. Okay? Talk with her. We did the negotiating, all that stuff. I was there for about 5 hours, man. 5 hours. And did an impromptu, what they call it, I forget what they call it. It's like a demonstration, like you're actually teaching a class. And that's another thing. If you are an instructor, some schools will require you teach like a dummy. It's not a dummy class. You're using the present curriculum, but they'll give you everything you need for you make your lesson plan, and you come in and you teach a class. They want to see how you move and groove in the field. Okay, so be ready for that. Okay, someone might ask you some questions about IT. How do you do this and how do you structure that and what is this thing? And be prepared for those kinds of things when you walk into these places. But I can tell you, as far as the Middle East is concerned, the Middle East is they're up and coming and they're trying to get modern, but a lot of them are old school. So a lot of the jobs that are out there, they're not online. They're not online. The recruiters do their best to extend their reach and reach who they can that they know are looking, but it's not heavily advertised. And even if you find something, it's difficult for them to contact you because nobody maintains those websites. Nobody checks those emails like that. Not often. The recruiters do it because, and I was a recruiter before, we do it because this is how we make our money. We live in our inbox. Okay? But other than that, there are things that you need to start doing practically. So please, let's leave off the which country this, which country that. You can make some general inquiries, but in the meantime, you should be trying to save some money. How much money do you have? If I told you, come over to Bahrain right now, I got a place for you to stay. I got an extra room. How many of us got the plane ticket? Oh, I'm going to be ready in a couple of months, because I got to take care of this bill and that bill. Well, while you were doing all of your, when you were stuck in your analysis paralysis of where to go and who to go and that, you could have been saving that money. Somebody comes and says, hey, I like the way that you present yourself. I saw your comments in the group. If you can get over here, I got a spot for you. Are you ready? Are you ready? Or are you still talking? Did you find that group of people? You can't trust people because you listen. You can't trust anybody. If you go overseas, you have no guarantee that employer is going to pay you what they said they were going to pay you. You have no guarantee that the housing they promised you is going to be the housing. You don't have a guarantee of anything in life. You have to make some trust. You have to trust and have some tawakkul in Allah, and then you have to make your move. So if some people default and they bail out, okay, mashallah, then they're gone. That's a virus that has now been removed from our group. I've done this. So I'm not talking like, this is not idealistic talking. I've actually had groups of people that I'm with that I say, hey, listen, we need at least 8 to 10 people where we can get together and do this. Let's agree to put a certain amount of money together every certain interval, every 2 weeks or every month or every week or what it is. And this money, it sits there until we do what we need to do. I've been part of those groups. Not only have I been part of those groups, I've actually collected the money, kept a ledger, an electronic spreadsheet on Excel, made those copies available by way of links to everybody so you can check it 24 hours a day. You know when your time is coming and everything else. Structure. We've not structured. I haven't heard anybody structuring anything. We stuck in where to go. And again, that's okay. You need to do your due diligence. But this thing is multi-phased. This Hijrah thing is multi-phased in my conclusion. So look at the tree. The tree doesn't grow one branch at a time. If the tree grew one branch at a time, you wouldn't have any trees. Because no second branch would start growing until the first branch finished growing. It doesn't work like that. All the branches come out at the same time. So while I'm talking and researching, I'm saving money. While I'm saving money, I'm budgeting. Okay, what can I get rid of? What do I need? What are priorities? What are essentials? What are non-essentials? What can I do without, and how long am I willing to do without it? Let me go and try to canvas the group. I got 600, 800 people in here. I'm sure I can grab 20 people to say, hey, let's get together in this area and do this. Either we meet locally, and we're all in the same area, or we meet online. I've done this online. Let's get out the analysis paralysis, you guys. It's time to actually start putting some monies together now. That's it. That's all I got for right now. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.